Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
You're listening to the PHP podcast for October 2021, Volume 20, Issue 10, Decrypting Cryptography. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
So excited about this one.
This was a big milestone.
It was our first release as the new owners of PHP Architect, and I hope it was worth the wait because we were very late.
It was a little late to the party. We talked about it. We might do a little extra podcast for people who are curious about what we've gone through for the last 30 days.
Yeah,
but
I'm excited
yes,
about
it was. There was a learning curve. There was some unexpected things, but we got it done. I'm happy with it. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm very happy with it.
I'm more happy that I haven't seen any negative talk about it outside of if you jumped on like within the first few hours of the magazine being released, you notice the glaring typo right on the cover of the magazine.
The title of the magazine. Come on.
I don't know how it happened. We had, 3 different people looking at this thing, and we all missed
For how long? It's not like people. It's not like we put the cover together last minute. That cover had been there for like days, and we had stared at it. We had changed it, changed the layout and tweaked the stuff around. Yep.
Yeah. But it got fixed pretty easily before it went to the printers, so yeah. I'm happy about that.
That's the important part. It wasn't printed yet, so we were good. Speaking of the title, Cryptography 101 from Vinicia Capitelli.
I often forget how many people are newer to development or newer to cryptography in general. There are a lot of terms, a lot of things that you just don't know. So just giving a little crash course on cryptography to begin with. And you should always harp on the fact you should never try to invent your own cryptography. Like, don't think, I'm just going to hash this 500 times. That's not the way to do it.
Stop looking at my code, John.
So Vinicius does a great job of giving us an intro into using the OpenSSL library. And he's kind of given us here's where people start. And hopefully we'll get another article from him on, where you can go to, how cryptography has gotten easier, especially within PHP with the built-in cryptographic libraries.
Yeah, that's one of the things I had kind of lost sight of when I read this article is exactly how much history there is with cryptography now. Mm-hmm. And like what used to be considered good practice or what used to be safe enough is no longer. And it's crazy how much has been put into cryptography and obviously for good reason.
And how much will continue to be put in. Yeah. So great intro article.
Moving on. What I wish someone told me about SQL Database Design by Scott Keck Warren.
Wait, is it someone or something?
No, it's somewhere. It's whatever.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Typos happen. What can we say?
You're the big database guy between the two of us. What do you think of this?
Again, it's another great intro article to database design, talking about the different forms of normalization. These are the things that when you go to school for computer science, you learn this type of thing. You learn about database normalization, and a lot of PHP developers are self-taught. You don't necessarily go to school for those types of things. You kind of pick up some of the tricks because you're trying to read the latest articles about it. But this goes into all of the different normalization techniques, why they're done, and again, learning from people who have stumbled before you. Learn from it, and then you do better.
And this is why big companies have dedicated DBAs, because this is such a specialized kind of area of our industry.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of the things that will cause you to stumble, you won't notice until you're in production and you actually get some traffic, or 2-3 years down the road when you have enough data to make it a problem. Then you're like, oh, I should probably do something different to optimize this query. And sometimes when you're that far in, making changes to your data is hard.
Right.
So,
and a lot of it is just having the knowledge, like you said, what you've learned to be able to look at a database design structure and be able to identify without even any data being put in yet. Say, okay, this is going to be a bottleneck. If we're going to need to index here and make these relationships.
Yep, exactly. And then going back to kind of the cryptography theme, sort of, Eric Mann in Security Corner gives us updating the OWASP top 10. This changes every few years, right? And it's really just going and looking at the attack vectors that are most commonly seen. It doesn't mean they are the most risky or highest potential for loss to your company. It's just the highest number. I forget how he said it. It's the highest probability that you are affected by it, or how prevalent here it is. It is how prevalent the risk is in the software community. So it's seen a lot. Injection is huge. SQL injection specifically, but they also took
to this day.
Yeah, but they took the time to also combine a bunch of things that, there are a bunch of different types of injection. So they just made it an injection category versus SQL injection versus cross-site scripting. So a great read. Things we should always be looking at when we're designing software.
You know what's really nice about this particular article, John?
What is that?
It is our free article of the month.
There you go.
So everybody, you have no excuse not to read this article. It's just go to the website and download it.
The other big thing I like, the point that he makes in here, is the top 10 is just the top 10 currently, but there are so many other things to be on the lookout for. So it's another reason to subscribe and keep reading Eric Mann's articles about security, because he covers things that aren't in the top 10 as well.
And things are always changing. You want to stay current. Exactly. Keep that education going. Keep using those muscles. All right, we're going to move on to the workshop. Joe Ferguson, local development with Craft CMS Nitro. I was a fan of this one. If you're not aware, and you should be, Joe is the maintainer behind Homestead, a very popular Vagrant-based project to run local development. I was a big Vagrant guy for a long time and had moved over to Docker like the last year or two. And man, it's really changed my development workflow. I just enjoyed Docker so much more. I was happy to see Joe do this write-up. So Craft CMS Nitro is a command line tool for managing Docker-based PHP development environments. There's a lot of these around here. We did an article not too long ago about Devilbox, which is the solution I still use, which is just kind of like a Homestead pre-formatted sort of implementation of Docker containers where you can go in there and do a bunch of customization yourself. Craft CMS kind of goes along the same lines. You can create, multiple environments and host multiple sites with different configurations. I tell you, as a developer, I was thinking about this. Like when I first got into the industry, like how challenging it was to even do local development and the tools that were available to you, like Notepad Plus. And I mean, you just ran HTML files locally and oh man, where we are today and this Docker, that's really the thing that really drives it home for me with Docker. And in theory, it was meant to be the same thing with Vagrant boxes, which is you can really simulate what you have in production. But with Docker containers, if your workflow is set up for it, you can actually deploy the containers you're developing in. You can deploy them to production, and you really, really kill that whole, there's something configured different in production than
works on my machine.
Works on my machine. So this is just another great tool brought to you by the people from Craft CMS.
Another way you can have something work on your machine, but it's not code related or kind of code related. When you have to go through a VPN that you're connected to, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. This works for me, and they're like, but it doesn't work for me. And it turns out you block something to your VPN.
Especially when that costs you money, John. Costs money.
Yeah. That one.
That hurt.
No, for
It
sure.
wasn't that bad.
It was bad. All right. Community Corner. We wrap up your interview with Sebastian Bergmann from PHPUnit. And man, this guy is so interesting. I love his
Tell me about it.
his stories, and just so full of knowledge. And I can't thank him enough. PHPUnit has changed my coding and made me a better developer. At least I want to think it does.
Sebastian is definitely one of those people that I wish I physically lived close to him. I would buy that guy beer every week just to sit down and just kind of absorb some of his knowledge and just regular discussion.
Sounds like we need to put on another PHP Tech, because
PHP Tech.
He's a friendly guy.
Moving on to design patterns by Moonlight, the Dragon Wrangling pattern.
Yeah, Ed does a good job of getting us started. He's taking us down this road of domain-driven design, which I'm personally a fan of. I want to absorb more about DDD. Like, I've done a little bit of research into it, especially when I was really getting into event sourcing, and DDD is a huge part of that, or can and probably should be. And having PHP-specific examples and information around DDD is so important, that because I will learn better from that. So Ed's doing a great job getting us started down that road, and he is going to continue in the coming months, and I cannot wait to see what more he has to say about it.
Yes, we need to find a good DDD book. That's my whole thing. The information seems so fragmented out there. I like to have just like one place to go and kind of get all the nuggets of information I need.
Especially if it's PHP centric.
All right, let's move on to PHP puzzles. Time Value of Money by, I don't know how you say this name, Oscar Merida? Oscar Merida.
Former editor-in-chief of PHP Architect.
Oh, that's why he changed his name. I thought changed it from editor-in-chief. Yes, Oscar is going to continue doing PHP puzzles. I'm very excited.
Yes. So is it better to get $100 today or $110 in 1 year? I don't know. We should probably go through the puzzle and find out. I'm sure there's
some coding you can do with this. Did you give this one a shot?
I have not. This past month was so crazy for us. I've neglected all my other work and focused solely on PHP Architect and trying to get the magazine out.
Me too. I have to admit. Next month, though, if you're curious, next month he's staying with the time value of money theme. So he's going to calculate interest earned, only scratching the surface. For next month, we'll take a look at solutions to 3 other common questions. Yeah, and you'd have to get the magazine to find out what those are.
Exactly. Puzzles are great when you're trying to code and just have something to code towards. You're learning something new. I was part of Orlando PHP before I moved to San Diego. And if they didn't have a presentation, they did code katas, which often involved puzzles. And they often try to do it in a TDD approach. So the whole point was you're learning TDD while solving a puzzle that on the surface is pretty easy to solve, but you're able to put coding practice into place. You can take the hard route to solve the problem just to learn something new. If you're looking to learn a new design pattern, try to apply it and see how you can make it work for a puzzle. Learning TDD is a great example of that. Start with your test and then make the puzzle pass. So they're more than just silly little puzzles or throwaway coding examples. There are great learning opportunities if you apply them.
Awesome. And a fun little thing to do if you run a user group and you're trying to think of something to do. Grab a copy of PHP Architect magazine, see what the PHP puzzle is for that month, and try to solve it.
And now a word from our sponsor, Cloudways. Cloudways offers optimal PHP hosting for zero downtime and best performance. Multiple performance tests show Cloudways improves loading times for websites by 200%. With innovative features like an optimized stack, advanced built-in caches, Cloudways CDN, and PHP-ready servers, and so much more, Cloudways enables you to build apps with unmatched performance and higher conversion rates. You can save 20% off for 3 months of hosting by using the promo code PHPArch at www.cloudways.com.
News and noteworthy. I just want to touch on this. This is something Oscar started doing some time ago. You kind of swooped in last minute and put it together for this issue, and I do appreciate it. because I'm always finding nuggets of information that I've missed out on. And this one, The Birth and Death of a Framework. While you were talking, I bookmarked that URL. I need to read that one. I actually haven't read that one. That looks really interesting.
It was a good one. I actually read through it, and the whole point in there was everything seems to have a cycle. Years ago, back in like 2010 timeframe, Zen Framework 1 was huge. And the people that use that thought it was going to be around forever. Zen Framework 2 came around, and there was a huge need to upgrade, and that became difficult to do. Hence, the PHP Architect book converting Zen Framework 1 to Zen Framework 2. But Zen Framework eventually went away. So it was just interesting. And he goes into why this happens and things to be thinking about. So definitely an interesting read.
I will be reading it as soon as we wrap up. All right, Education Station, Windows 11 for PHP development. You've got some experience with Windows, don't you, John?
I literally just paid for a Windows license for the first time in 25 years, if not more. Not for development yet. I have not dipped my toes into that pond.
But you did say yet. You did say yet.
I did. Well, Chris Tankersley does a great job in this article, making me think, wow, I really should give this a go. Like, he does a good job of getting your machine set up, using WSL2, and just the things you need to kind of understand around using WSL, including how to run PHP Storm. You don't just install it and go. You actually take the time and install it into WSL2, and then the one on your Windows machine is just the head for it, right? But PHP Storm is actually running in Windows subsystem for Linux.
And there are benefits to that. And Chris talks about what some of those benefits are.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not a Windows guy, but the article made me think it's much more doable now than it has ever been.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to have to be that guy. I'm feeling my age when I saw the title. Is Windows 11 out yet? Like, I am so far behind. I don't even know what's publicly available. Is Windows 11 that's been released?
I don't know. Considering I just paid for Windows,
it's not just me.
I think I just paid for Windows 10.
Yeah, that's what I have on my machine as well, is Windows 10.
No, I think he talks about how it's upcoming. It's not out yet.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's a free upgrade if you have a valid Windows 10 license. I
have a valid Windows 10.
I think it's one of those things where if you want it now, you have to jump through some hoops, or you wait until it comes to you, kind of like your phone upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
So yes, it's out, but you don't have it yet. You're not lucky. And finally, Rubber Ducky, you're the one. This is one I actually recently explained this topic to my wife and kids, and Beth Tucker Long does a great job of talking about what rubber ducking is. And for a while, my dog was coming in, sitting with me in the office. So when I would go out for breaks or whatnot, I would say, "Come on, rubber doggy, let's go." And literally just the concept of I'm stuck on a problem, I can't figure it out, and you talk the problem out to somebody or something. And the most common use case is rubber ducking. You have a little yellow rubber duck on your desk. You tell the rubber duck your poor little problems, and then magically they go away. You explain the problem, you walk through the problem, and as you're explaining it and as you're walking through, you realize what the problem is and fix it. Exactly.
It's not a magic thing.
Oh, I thought it was magic. I thought the rubber ducky thought the rubber ducky typed code for you.
Yeah, I explained this to my mom recently, who was going for her master's, and she was trying to work through a problem, and I'm like, okay, well, explain to me what the issue is. And this was part of it, right? Is another person could be a rubber duck. And as she's explaining to me why it's not working, and she can't figure it out, she's showing me the problem, and she sees it because she's taken a step back. And that's always the big problem, especially as developers. We get so entrenched in our code and we get so close to it that we forget sometimes to take that step back and look at it from different perspective, a lot of times these issues just present themselves. That's what happens a lot when you rubber duck with somebody or something. As you're explaining it, you have to take that step back because you have to explain the things that you as a developer already know and have assumptions of. So, but you need to explain those to other entities. And when you do that a lot of times is what exposes these problems.
Right.
So great job, Beth.
Exactly. And with that, we should wrap this one up.
That's it for October 2021. Congratulations, John Congdon and Eric Van Johnson.
And yourself.
For this one. Volume 20, Issue 10. This is our moment in time. Keep listening.
Keep coding.
And keep reading.
This has been PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.com to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.